Welcome back to Sharp Edge News TV. I appreciate you for being here. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, and follow. Turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We have some trendy stories and news around the world for you today. We have a fantastic show lined up for you today. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to welcome a man of two powerful roles, publisher of SharpEdgeNews.com and High Chief Akpoti of Akpoti, Ondo State. Whether in the newsroom or the kingdom, is always ahead. Give it up for the legend, Oladimeji Abitogun. Welcome, sir.
Ola, thanks for bringing me back. And to our audience the world over, it's good to join you. And a deep appreciation for allowing us into your hallowed and cherished devices and television sets, your living room, your wherever you chose to enjoy us from or to be part of what we're doing. We do not take you for granted. Thanks for being part of our world.
Thank you. All right, so without any further ado, I'm sure you have a SharpEdgeNews.com special report for us this week. You can take it away, sir.
Certainly. Thank you very much again, Ola. We start on a sober note concerning events all over Nigeria, and some of these events are sad reminders of the way in which we allow repeat of history. And if we are really moving in circles concerning certain situations and problems, it therefore means that there must be something crazy about that, because whether we like it or not, there must be progress. And while everybody in Nigeria has one thing to celebrate or one idea or policy to disagree with, that is not really in tune with what majority of Nigerians are going through at the moment. And that is why the carnage being rigged through flood, natural disasters, and avoidable violence, whether on the plateau and state of Benue or Benue State, as it is often said in Nigeria, cannot be a reason for anybody to roll out the drums at the moment, particularly in Mokwa, Niger State. The road that links between north central Nigeria, between Niger State and Kwara State there, got flooded, and the major bridge over River Niger there got swept off. The death toll is still being tallied, but as we speak at the moment, it is getting close to about 160 valued lives. Those people had names. They were part of us on earth here, but now because of not taking care of our environment and then ignoring what environment experts predict, what they say, especially remote sensing and meteorology, what they predict about the flood situation in Nigeria and other effects of a global warming, ignoring those timely alerts is costing Nigerians so much, and it's costing the nation very huge humiliation. That said, what are the lessons that we ought to learn that we haven't learned? Way back in 1969, precisely May 38th, a young student of Columbia University, Bruce Merrock, some sources will claim that he was born in 1947, but most publications agree that he was born sometime in 1949. He took exceptional note and had fundamental disagreements with the avoidable civil war in Nigeria between federal troops and then loyalists and troops of Biafran Republic, led by the late Chief Emeka, Chukwuemeka rather, Odumegu Ojukwu. And this man, in protest against what that war has become a big human tragedy, avoidable as it were, decided to immolate himself. He set himself on fire in front of the United Nations building in New York. And that was how that individual became part of the history of protest against all forms of violence, tragic wars, particularly how hunger was weaponized in that war and millions of souls got lost. Particularly, you will remember the massacre or the genocide in Asaba, the wanton killings in places like Kwale and all over the then embattled eastern Nigeria that was declared Republic of Biafra. Merok was a student at Columbia University where he was majoring in general studies. He was also a sports photographer for the campus newspaper known as Columbia Spectator. Today, somebody has done something heroic because memories hardly fade away. The widow of the then Biafran leader, the late Chief Chukwuemeka Odumegu Ojukwu, widow, who is currently Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Lady Biakan Ono Odumegu Ojukwu, has decided to erect a monument to the memory of Bruce Merok. And she is doing this. She has done this in perfect agreement and fulfillment of the wish of her late husband to immortalize the memory of this young American who had to sacrifice himself in protest against brothers killing brothers, and as if we were bewitched, turning against each other. Memories of such tragic situations still haunt Nigeria, still haunt Africa, and still haunt the world in which we live in. Of course, you would understand the sad situation in Palestine and Israel today. The world has got to learn some lesson on how to embrace peace, to work for the peace, to make sure that we are good neighbors. However, let me say something instructive about the gesture from Mrs. Ojukwu, because this monument she has built is a two-story building that would not only keep alive the memory of Bruce Merok, it is a museum. It is something that is a lasting testament to the untold hidden stories of that avoidable tragic civil war. There are still legends who are alive, and the stories are still being told. Books are still being written. War books are still coming out because of the fratricidal war that took place in Nigeria between 1967 and 1970. That said, what do some women do today? What do some men do in Nigeria today? And all over the world. Even some people who do not have any business playing the widow's card because of whatever situation in which they find themselves in their young or what's it called, marital life, they will turn against each other and they will pretend to be widows. Widowhood is not something to be casualized like that. And this is how you know people who really honor the memory of their dead spouses. Kudos to Mrs. Bianca Ono Odumegu Chukwuemeka Ojukwu, because not even many Nigerian officials want to embrace the truth of what happened, the truth of the tragedy that happened in the country. And this is why you will find some people Just little challenges in their family, they will turn against each other. And then they make it look as if it's a crime to have come together in the first place to make a family. So whether in life or in death, we celebrate the Ojukos for being faithful lovers to themselves. There were oppositions when they first met, but they were able to overcome such meddlesome situations from people who felt, oh, somebody is too old, somebody is too young. Nobody is too old, nobody is too young to be in love. And this love fever is something anybody can catch. It does not matter, what anybody thinks. Now we know that the love Bianca had for Chief Odumegwu Ojukwu was not a fluke. At least there is a physical proof and testament to the fact that even in death, she remains faithful and loyal. And that quality of loyalty and faithfulness, we know, is what she would be carrying over to the service of motherland, Nigeria. Congratulations, Madam Minister. And we move from there to the continued and sustained killings taking place, murderous killings taking place in several places all over Nigeria, particularly on the plateau. But that does not mean that we should shy away from the reality of that kind of murderous exploits overtaking places like Ondo State, like Kwara State, like Benue. You want to also talk of northwestern Nigeria, northeastern Nigeria. Nigeria is a country under siege. And instead of facing up to that fact, everybody is really clinking glasses of wine, celebrating 2 years of the Tinubu presidency. But one thing is that at this point, people should embrace real governance. And governance means that the government should do whatever it takes to repel all forms of foreign aggression and internal subversion. Internal subversion could not also mean voices of dissent concerning the way the country must go, making progress through democracy. Those democratic options cannot be negotiable. But the one we're talking about has got to do with what has really put Nigeria's survivor on the block. Where are these elements coming from? Are they phantom? No, certainly they are not ghosts. There must be a face to them. And when they overrun entire communities and change ancient community names to something new, in a country where the power concerning control of lands resides with state government, and then anybody expects such sudden change of identity and names to stick? Certainly not. So why is the Nigerian government so reluctant and reticent in smoking out all these murderous invaders? Why is it that we cannot protect our indigenous people? Why is it that crisis merchants are gaining enormously in terms of finances and territory concerning the Nigerian situation? So this calls for sober reflection instead of commissioning 30 kilometers out of a whole distance of 750 kilometers that will constitute the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Yes, good initiative. And the Shagori brothers, Gilbert and his engineer brother, and all of them, they are celebrating today, and the president is embracing them openly. Of course, anything goes in the world in which we live. Haven't we seen the example of Donald Trump in America? How the presidency in the United States, the best place for that matter to be on planet Earth, how that presidency is being staked for personal benefits? We hope that is not the situation with the Nigerian with the Nigerian project. Yes, we embrace every form of infrastructural transformations that Tinubu can bring, but it must not be at a cost to the moral and constitutional ethos of Nigerians. No. Yes, the Chagori brothers are Nigerian Lebanese Americans. And if other clans allow us to thrive as immigrants elsewhere, we certainly welcome whatever they can bring on the table for the transformation of Nigeria. However, we should also remember that in celebrating untimely victories, untimely successes, 2 years into the life of a 4 year, into a 4 year term, we should remember that maybe the streets are not smiling for the poor folks in Nigeria. And it is money yet in the life of this administration for anybody to want to start a victory lap. There are so many other things to touch on, but such a
you already hear me. You're hearing me.
Oh, that's right. We are pressed for time here, but let me also hint about one fact.
Yeah.
Back home in Ondo State, Nigeria, you have heard of people trying to explore inanities and insignificant stories to want to cause division. We need to pocket that. And in the government of Ondo State, the Commissioner of Finance, nothing personal against the woman who is in charge, and we do not have that kind of prejudice. We celebrate you, but please understand that the government has to be funded. When the governor gives approval that projects should be paid for, do not wait for the governor, that is Mr. Lucky Orimiso Ayedatiwa, to give you a personal call before such payments are effected. And what is Ayedatiwa waiting for? He has to urgently constitute his full cabinet. That way, Ondo State can be transformed and be better. Ola, it's good to be back this week, our report.
Thank you so much. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, and follow. We have some other trendy stories around the world. So that means we're coming back. All right, so stay tuned. We're coming right back. All right, welcome back. So Wike explodes on Amaechi and Bode George. I'm gonna play 2 different videos and then we'll come back and
what
talk
a day
about it.
in the life of a country.
All right.
We have the time to listen to jokes.
But they're influential people.
Which influential? What makes them influential? You think they're influential?
A former governor and minister?
Hold on. You are talking about Amaechi?
Yes, sir.
And you have been specific. I don't know how a man will choose his 60th birthday to tell lies. It's unfortunate. Of all time, it's your 60th birthday that people are celebrating you. You used to tell lies to Nigeria. You are hungry. Let us tell ourselves this. He was speaker 1999 to 2007. And if anybody knows, he was the most pampered speaker. Then he was reading law in London as a speaker, 1999 to 2007. He became a governor, 2007 to 2015. He was still reading law in London. 8 years as Speaker of Rivers State House Assembly. 8 years as Governor of Rivers. You never talked about hunger. He became a minister from 2015 to 2023. 8 years, super minister, transport. Where you were borrowing money for exit bag, loans. He didn't talk about hunger. 2 years you have left office. I'm in coalition because I'm hungry. You're only hungry of power.
Okay. Second part.
Mm.
Second part.
Published. In March, you will publish.
This is about Bode Judge now.
In March, April, May, June. Now, look, the caucus of the leadership of PDP, led by Senator Abamuru, they came to see me. Now, look, this is the problem they have. I say, what's that? That this and that and that. I said, okay, hold on. I turned by my right. I brought the documents, internal memos. I said, take it. Go. Read it. Tell me. They confessed that, look, it's unfortunate. I said, no, I don't want this a confession here. You go back to the party leadership. Tell them to tell Nigerians that, look, indeed they found out that I did not do anything wrong. It was them. They should even thank me. They should even thank me. You know, if not the presidential intervention, I believe that people say heaven will come down, heaven will come down.
But then they said it's only 7.8 million naira, which you, as a loyal party member, could, I mean, dip your hand in your pocket and
You can't even pay. It's, first of all, it's not in my name. Even them cannot pay because the problem is not in their name. But that is not the point. Who is the one that will say, people like Bode will say so? Look at the debt owing.
That's why I said so. If Bode just said so, there is nothing you could do.
How can he say so? I read what he said. If an old man has no job, sit down in your house and read their newspapers. Bode just said, PDP made me. PDP gave me national name. PDP, I agree. Party cannot make you. You are the one that will make the party popular to win election. Party. Now I'm coming, sir. Party cannot say.
So clearly, this is a form of shalaye for his betrayal of his party. But
and they will, and like they say in Nigerian street lingo, he would explain tire.
He go explain.
That's right.
He go explain tire. No evidence. Let me just.
Don't say there is no. Don't say there is no evidence.
No. That's the saying. You have to.
The fact of the matter is this.
Hold on one second, sir. Hold on one second, sir. I want to make sure that the audience is up to speed on what we're talking about. Sorry. So there's a report on Politics Nigeria. It says Wike queries Amaechi's influence in Nigeria's political space. Essentially, Wike said he was hungry. Now I think you listened to it earlier on. Maybe you give us the full context.
And contextually, let us put it in proper context. It was I think monthly media chat this morning. Of course, Mr. Bengaruleba, the Kere-born accomplished Nigerian journalist, the Kere-Ekiti-born Nigerian journalist, led a pack of other news hands to Wike's, to today's session with Wike. Of course, Mr. Dare Babarisa was there, and Lady Sheung, and so many others. But the contest was.
So at least he's talking to media, though. At least we can appreciate that.
And it was well syndicated through major Nigerian news channels, including Arise TV channels and AIT and so on and so forth. Precisely, let me just say what I feel about this, and I intend to be very brief about it. So remember, I told you about the first movie that was made in Nigeria, because people don't try to put things in proper perspective. That movie was titled Dinner with the Devil. It starred my own elder late cousin, Mr. Fashi Abitogun, right? And he at the time was married to the daughter of the late Abat Macaulay, and that is the father of Olumide Macaulay of Channels Television. But just little about that. This looks like a script for Dinner with the Devil. There is nothing anybody tries to contrive, anybody tries to plan by way of political intrigue with the FCT minister, Mr. Jason Wike, that does not become a subject of public discourse. And does that in itself show true leadership? He puts people on the block and shoves them off as he wishes. Yes, he has said what he had to say this morning in good prose, but let me put it in some form of poetry. Yes, there has been hunger in the land. And what he's saying about his former boss, Rotimi Amaechi Dike, is that this hunger is different. People are talking of real hunger for the stomach, but he is saying this is power hunger. And can anybody disagree with Wike concerning this? Yes, Wike may be a devil that anybody has to be careful when, you are proposing any deal. But let us be sincere with ourselves. Did they say certain things that were really true about Rotimi Amaechi Dike this morning? Certainly. He was Rotimi Amaechi Dike's chief of staff when the man was the governor of River State at some point. Remember that Mr. Amaechi had every opportunity, and I do not question this, sincerity of purpose that he had as governor of River State. At least I was also there first hand to report on certain infrastructures that he was really putting across the state. He tried his best. But I was saying that governance is not work in progress. But let us now look at something that has exposed the hypocrisy in most Nigerian politicians, particularly the Muhammadu Buhari years. Remember, I told you how many years Buhari carried on, almost like Goliath, thumping the fact that he was the best. He will conquer and subdue corruption. But in the 8 years that he was on the saddle as the president of Nigeria, what did we see? He was exposed thoroughly by God and the intricacies of the Nigerian nation as also one of the people that Nigerians should dread instead of hero worship. What do I mean? Those 8 years were the years of locust for Nigeria. Ruinous and almost without direction. And he was always absent on the job. And what was Rotimi Amaechi's role in that government? He was minister in charge of transport. And remember, those were years under the pretext of reviving the railroads, something that was originally initiated by Goodluck Jonathan administration. And they were constructing railroad to nowhere in Niger Republic. The same Niger Republic would later turn against Nigeria, right before our very eyes. Amaechi Rotimi was the man as minister who was going to build a specialized university of transport or transportation, whatever they chose to call that phantom project in Daura, the birthplace of General Muhammadu Buhari. So many things were done in contradiction to decency and sincerity of purpose by some of these people that have been in government before. And then look at the short man devil that attended the 60th birthday of Rotimi Amaechi, in person of Nasir El-Rufai, there is no worse political narcissist in Nigeria than this element. The moment, he has forgotten the way he took Nigerians for a ride. In a country that is multi-religious, multi-ethnic, multicultural, the requisite conditions were there to make Nigeria function as a true federalism. Anybody that doubts this should go and read Obafemi Awolowo's book, Path to Nigerian Greatness. And the political theory was pushed that a nation having the kind of a identity Nigeria has cannot do anything other than embrace federalism. The Unitarian objective, or what's it called, governance model that was introduced by Aguiyi Ironsi after the January 15, 1966 revolution or coup, whichever anybody lost, whatever anybody lost to capture it as, is what everybody is fixated on today that is really slowing Nigeria down. Power grab at the center. El-Rufai, while in office, whether as Minister of FCT, whether as Governor of Kaduna State, and the way he owned this agenda of Muslim ticket, and then how he was taunting Nigerians at a session where he did not know that it was being recorded and would be leaked to the nation, which formed a major part of the revelation before the National Assembly Committee that screened him out, sparing us that burden of making him Minister of Power. The grudge which he carries today against Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You see, all these political hypocrites, and let me borrow the words of the late fella Nicola Akpoti, animal in human skin, who will now come around, having failed at everything, including leadership, and then they want to reinvent themselves and tell us that they are better than their cohorts and fellow travelers who only happen to be occupying another special purpose vehicle called political party APC now. And all of them, including Amaechi, including Nasir El-Rufai, and at the time, former Vice President Abubakar Atiku were on the APC bandwagon. They sold Nigeria all kinds of vague and empty promises. And then we find ourselves where we are. Yes, it is true that APC decides to embrace too much politics instead of governance. But tell me, and in justification for what Wike said this morning, honestly, they are not better than the people they are criticizing. They are not in any way better than the ruling administration. So Nigerians must shine their eyes very well. But let me come back to Baba Olabode Ibiyinka George. He too, at the time, was military governor of Ondo State. He tried initiating some forms of beautification of the state capital and doing all sorts. But I remember that after his tour of duty as military governor of Ondo State, he was interviewed by African Concord News Magazine about what he would be remembered for. And all he could say was that the people of Ondo State will remember that a Lagos boy once passed through Ondo State. But, politics too strives on history. What were the legacies of Baba Bode George as military governor of Ondo State in those days? Part of the peak of it was the irresponsible conduct of his wife, Feyisheton George, who allegedly slapped a serving director general, equivalent of permanence. Nigerians always romanticize with titles and what have you. And of course, you want to know that I personally sat with that affected a female director general, who later became a federal commissioner with INEC in 1999. And I'm talking of Mrs. Tola Ajayi from Ekiti State. But when I tried to confirm firsthand with her, she only smiled and never made any comment about it. But everybody that witnessed the fact that the then wife of they are now estranged, the then wife of a Bode judge slapped a serving director general, and that person, being a true Ondo State, then a true Ondo State daughter, and now a true Ekiti State person, did not allow the slap to her face to cool down before she struck her across the face back. That is the legacy of. So all these people, the point I'm making is that the revelation today by Wike that Bode judge has a property, maybe number 3,000 and whatever.
Let's round this one up, please.
Yeah, and that Bode judge never paid the ground rent on that property. And then they are talking of not paying about 7 million naira accrual or backlog on grant rent on PDP secretariat. You see the way they are coming out. These are people that have always troubled Nigerians. Now they are having their troubles. You see, let them do whatever they want to do. Whatever is going to hold them to account is a natural order, would always expose them the way they are exposing themselves. They can eat themselves out. We really do not care. And this is a proof that Nigeria as a country...
We want them to fix Nigeria.
No, not them. It will not be them. A better generation will arise that will put all these failed elders to shame. And on a final note, yes, Wike reportedly was born in 1967. Look at what politics can cause. Insulting somebody.
It looks like he was born in 1927, but go ahead, sir.
Yeah, he has to be like, he has to have that look of Ancient of Days because of the way he's spending his life. He's too quarrelsome. I don't know what but it's good content. It's good entertainment. And like most politicians.
But at least he's speaking to media. We thank God.
At least. He's doing better than most of his contemporaries and most of his colleagues in the administration.
Just one quick question, sir.
Yes.
What it was? Did he work for Amaechi? They are from the same state, correct?
He was chief of staff to Amaechi. He was chief of staff to Amaechi before he was nominated to become Minister of State for Education.
Wow, that's interesting. So it's,
yes, by Jonathan.
It's a real basbos. It's a real basbos going on.
It's beyond basbos. This is what you call a moment of the long knives. I won't call it night of the long knives. It's moment of the long knives. You know, this is yes.
So Fubara learns from the best.
You say what?
I said Fubara learned from the best.
Best in what terms? The best traitor ever.
Terms, exactly.
So if he's complaining about being betrayed, he also betrayed his boss.
That's my point.
For now, yes. So let them shoot themselves out, and we are enjoying the drama. But
Mario says Uncle is giving us political gossip or slaps.
Well, this is not gossip. This is just the truth of what can be extrapolated from their what's it called? Their crossfire. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Biafra was recently. So sorry to be cutting you, sir. I think Biafra also was recently slapped somebody, didn't she? Bianca Ojukwu.
Yes, again, no, not. You know, it was the name of the former governor of Anambra State or whichever. I'm trying to remember the name. Yes, she was able to put that woman in a proper place. You know, right. I'm trying to remember the name of the former governor. Yes, at a forum there. Yeah. Yes, it actually happened.
Yeah. All right. So let's round this one up. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. We're gonna be over time today. I don't know how I did it, but I was enjoying the your commentary, sir. But hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. Let's just go ahead and move on to some other trendy stories around. Join the conversation in the comment section. Let us know what you think, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Shout out to all 9 of you watching us live, and shout out to D, shout out to Marriott, shout out to Miss Elizabeth Omotayo. Good to see you guys. Now let's talk about Donald Trump.
Thank you to everybody who's part of the community, even as this show is playing live. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's talk about Donald Trump. Trump's trade war backfires. U.S. France. So I'm looking at a quick report here on a UK publication, The Guardian. TheGuardian.com. It says U.S. France say Trump trade war is hitting production as dollar nears three-year low. Manufacturing survey signals third monthly decline in output in a row amid uncertainty over tariffs. U.S. manufacturers have warned that Donald Trump's trade war is hitting production, pushing the dollar close to a 3-year low against sterling on Monday. I think that's against pound sterling. The greenback suffered a fresh sell-off after the closely watched ISM survey of the manufacturing sector signaled a third monthly decline in output in a row. The ISM Purchasing Managers Index fell 48.5% in May, below 50 signals contraction. In other news, I'm looking at AP, Associated Press. What we know about the suspect and victims of an unfortunate situation that happened, I think this happened hours ago, a few hours ago, in the Bode, Colorado. There was an attack. They say a man armed with a makeshift flamethrower and other incendiary devices launched a fiery attack on demonstrators in Colorado who were calling for the release of Israeli hostages in Gaza. 8 people were injured, and the FBI described the violence Sunday, okay, this was yesterday, as a targeted terror attack. The suspect, identified by the FBI as 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Soliman, yelled, "Free Palestine!" according to Mark Michalek, the special agent in charge of the FBI. And I think Trump has seized that person's status, and he said what he had to say about that is that the crackdown on immigration by ICE is going to continue. What do you think, sir? Just wanted to bring you up to speed on Trump.
Yeah, I want us to really respect our allotted time. So let me put it this way. I want to be very brief about this. I think what President Donald Trump needs to do at this point is to be laser focused on things that will benefit America. For number one, the leaders of the world in which we live in, particularly concerning the Israeli-Palestinian thing, should get their acts together and make sure that the poor folks, whether in Israel or Palestinian end, do not suffer further deprivations and lack. Leaders fight, the poor suffer. This is not right. That is all I would say about that. They need to get their acts together. And for people who try to exploit all these kind of situations to promote terrorism anywhere, this is most condemnable, whether within our country, United States of America here, or elsewhere all over the world. You do not own other people's prejudices to inconvenience the vast majority of citizens who really want to live in peace. I hope that point would be appreciated by everybody. Now to the contracting value of the dollar.
Yes.
Of course, this is something we have always spoken about here. The inconsistencies, the weakening fundamentals of the economy, the avoidable imposition by way of a unilateral decision of tariffs on everybody, just talking a quarrel in order to demonstrate some element of macho, that, oh, we are strong, and then preparing false intelligence that borders on the economy, finances of the world. For example, look at the guy that was brought to the Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk. Who
He quit. He already quit.
Yeah, because he had no choice. Because there is a statutory provision that says he cannot serve for a length of time that exceeds
more than 130 days in any given year.
Yes, but because he knows. And of course, all the propaganda, the lies told about saving $1 trillion, at their best, they said they have been able to save $160 billion. And now the papers, the books are showing that it's all lies.
Yep.
Look at the cost to humanity so far. In Africa, not just in Africa, all over the world. You know the toll on AIDS, how many AIDS patients have died since then? And the figure is still rising. Look at the discombobulation about measles outbreak all over the United States and all over the world. You see, people always have these feelings that go beyond utopian ideals. They want to take the world to where the world has never been. And every good thing anybody has ever tried that keeps the world a balanced place, they want to tinker with. And when they do that, you go where nobody has ever gone, you will see what nobody has ever seen. My concern, and as President Donald Trump also has to be concerned, is what history is going to record about him. This is not, because it's not going to have another opportunity of reworking or rewriting this. At least he has considered to all of us now that he's not having this funny feeling of running for a third term. It therefore means that he has no opportunity of rewriting all these things. And as for Elon Musk, who came with a mindset of the evil that was perpetrated by his ancestors in South Africa, to administer a dose of that on us, on the world stage, particularly in the United States of America, he's still a young man. And he's going to drink of this bitter cup for a long time. But as for Donald Trump, may God bless the president, he should just think, as the dollar is contracting, that is declining in value, is this where this country ought to have gone? Is this the way we should have headed? You needed to see the way Americans are confronting lawmakers in places like Iowa, all over the country, because particularly Republicans, lawmakers, Congress people have been avoiding opportunities of holding town halls because they are being confronted as to their ability to hold the administration to account. And they are being seen as deceptive characters and liars. And that is a big lesson by way of a comparative analysis and conclusion for lawmakers in Nigeria who would unabashedly, without shame, come out to say, oh, they will give a free pass to whatever President Tinubu brings before them. They will cooperate with it. That's what Senate President Akpabio said on Saturday, where they were commissioning their 30 kilometers out of a distance of 750 kilometers they should be constructing as Lagos Calabar Highway. He said they will continue to rubber stamp everything the president brings before them. In America here, voters are able to confront these lawmakers at town halls. In Nigeria, the lawmakers organize town halls to give account to voters and electorates all over the place. What do? They decamp from one party to the other. You see the difference between here and there? Thank you so much.
As far no. All right, join the conversation in the comments in the chat. Right now we're gonna move on to some other stories. It's on the comment. What do you think about this? Donald Trump, Elon Musk, they did say he can only serve no more than 130 days in any given year. Does that mean he can potentially come back next year to take another 130 days? That's the question that I've been pondering in my heart.
He's done enough damage already. He himself has accepted his fundamental disagreement with the administration. So he would continue to hide somewhere as the surrogate president, behind the scene. Let's see how much, how far he can go. But honestly, may God protect America from this looming disaster concerning the economy. Thank you.
All right. All right. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications, follow so you're notified when we drop videos and go live. We'll be right back. All right. So Natasha Akpoti exposes Akpabio again. Drags Reno OMOKRI in the mud. Well, debunked the rumors. But I'm going to play a couple of clips for you. Actually, we've got a few of them. I'm going to run through them. Then I'll let you run in terms of what your opinions are. The one that really stands out for me is this whole issue. I want you to pay attention to what some kind of progress report. I'm very familiar with progress reports in the healthcare world. Apparently, she was supposed to deliver some kind of progress report that she wasn't able to deliver. And then it became a bunch of drama. So with that being said, let's go ahead and listen to the first clip. All right.
3 months into me being the chairperson of the Committee on Local Content, we're in his office. Usually I tend to avail myself to, attend some meetings.
Shout out to Adiola Payo. We're using our content within the fair use guideline.
Dignitaries from
Thank you
agencies
so much,
so I
Payo.
usually attend the meetings. So at one of those gatherings, he then went, Senator Uduaha, you haven't reported progress. And I was like, reported progress? He said, yes, that I'm supposed to report progress. So I said, okay, give me a few days, I'll report progress. He said, fine. So I went later on, made a PowerPoint presentation of my activities as the chair then, the meetings we've held, the timeline of events, the action plans. And then I went back to him and I was like, okay, sir, I'm ready to tender my progress report. And then he went, okay, where is it? And then I opened my laptop and I was like, okay, this is it. And he laughed. And I was like, oh, why are you laughing, sir? He said, don't I know the meaning of reporting progress? And I said, I thought it's to give you a feedback on my activities so far. And then he now referred me to a senior senator. He said, why don't you go meet this person and let him educate you on what report progress means? So I went to meet the senator and I was like, sir, I usually respect anyone who knows me will know that I respect my colleagues, even though
elders.
I respect my seniors, even though we're colleagues. So I went, sir, I was told to approach you so you'll guide me on what reporting progress meant. And he laughed. He was like, it means I should give kickbacks to him. I was like, what do you mean kickbacks? He said money, projects.
All right, so that's the first one. Let's move on to the second one. I'll remind you, sir. Let's just move on to the second clip. All right, so this one, this is about Reno OMOKRI now and all the other stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me thank you so much for this. I would say this categorically. I have never accused any other person of sexual harassment apart from Senator Akpabio. I never accused Yahaya Bello of sexual harassment. And I never accused Reno OMOKRI of sexual harassment. I don't know if you have that screenshot of the text message that I sent.
Okay.
That was the text message that started the whole thing. And I think this is, if Nigerians can go back to the post, it was like, this is my response to one of his posts on Facebook in the year 2019 or 2020. And I said, hey, it was a conversation whereby he was attacking one of my wards, a girl who felt really bad. And then she was being dragged. So I went there and I made this statement, like, I understand how boring and bitter life must be for you away in the US on asylum. No more access to your numerous iPhone 2 girlfriends, most of whom you got into show P through your office as an SA to President Goodluck Jonathan. Weren't you married then? I rejected your silly advances in 2014 at the Villa's Banquet Hall during President Uhuru Kenyatta's reciprocated visit. I gave you a fake name and a fake phone number, but so it just pretty much ended after that. So if anyone can actually go to the post.
Okay, so that was an actual screenshot that says, I rejected your silly advance. That's what Reno OMOKRI is saying as accusation of sexual harassment. All right, so now let's move on to this one and then listen to it. So if you recall, just a few weeks ago, some lady called Sandra Aduru, aka Professor Mbeke, had been accusing her of trying to destroy President Tinubu and the Yoruba government.
And I also am aware of the pushback against that.
Right.
Someone that was commissioned to do an actual job.
Right. So this is further pushback.
Let you know that I want to read it as well from here since we'll be. Okay. So this is it from my own phone. That's the screenshot. And then this is where we are here. Okay, so now she sent this first message asking for a contract and asking how I was going to take care of her and her team.
So let me read it.
Let's read it. This is very important. It's important Nigerians read this because this is where things got interesting.
Okay, so what I'm reading on the screen, so you could be quick on this one. It says, my dear Senator Natasha, I hope this message, this is what Sandra was sending to her. There's a screenshot on WhatsApp. I hope this message finds you well. I would like to understand how you would like me to proceed in assisting with your case, including the specific outcomes you intend to achieve and the timeline you have in mind. Additionally, please let me know if you would like to formally engage my services or support my team in executing the strategy we have carefully put together to resolve this matter effectively. Please feel free to speak with me confidentially. I value discretion and professionalism, and I prefer to handle matters directly rather than through intermediaries. For these reasons, I have not shared any details with the individual who contacted me regarding the media appearance on your behalf. I approach cases differently, maintaining strict boundaries too. All right, so that's that lady saying, you know, that's a screenshot basically revealing that she was actually asking for money for services as opposed to the other way around. She claimed that she tried to bribe, I think 200 million or something like that. Last but not least, let's listen to this one.
6 children for 6 men. That does not invalidate the fact that if I speak of sexual harassment, it should not be investigated. And that does not make me a bad person.
So one of the things that he also said was that you sued your husband, you forced him to marry you. Was that all made up, or did you?
That's all made up. That's all made up. I didn't coerce my husband. We're actually in court on that. As a matter of fact, he was avoiding service. So.
All right, we're going to call it a day there. So, I have a very simple question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you believe her?
Well, everything now is in the law court, and whatever the truth is will be laid bare through that due process. So we will just hang on to that.
We'll wait.
But,
okay.
Yeah, but in my usual element, women go through stuff in life, and once, when the abusers or violators, the oppressors, when they have played their card, they always challenge women, whether as a rape victim or whatever, provide proof, because they think they have committed a perfect crime. I'm not saying that Akpabio is guilty of anything at this point, but who knows? And then look at the way they have weaponized the instrument of state. I've never heard of this kind of situation in which the federal government will now be the one suing Natasha Akpoti for the blatant accusation that somebody was making an attempt to kill her. So, how is this the business of the federal government? So if the government has something serious to do, what is the government trying to prove here? Is it that people have not been murdered in Nigeria before, and till today, such mysteries are not solved? I do not know all the details about this. But as we watch events unfold through the judicial process, I think the truth, some of the truth will come out. But what we are talking about,
we don't know.
we do not know, but we may not even ever know the truth, because things are always padded and things are always tinkered with, and things do not really give the results that they should give ordinarily. That said, I rest my case.
Now, I have a follow-up question because of the way you just answered that question. So,
yeah, bring it on.
Because we don't really know, right? And we've never really said we know. We just think these people are obviously
and nobody should pretend to know.
And nobody should pretend to know. But obviously, these people are trying to hide something by the fact that they couldn't even offer a fair hearing. They obviously are trying to hide something. So now, with that being said,
probably so.
Right.
Probably so. Yes.
Right. So now she also admitted, she showed us screenshot, because the other lady, she claimed that she was deleting evidences from their conversation. And then on Adiola Faye's show, she actually said she showed that she was deleting her credentials that she had initially sent to her. After realizing that this person has ulterior motive, she was sending her certificates, her testimonials, from schools and all that kind of stuff, in efforts to do some kind of media work, And then as soon as she realized that this guy is weird, this lady is acting a little weird, she deleted all of the chats, and she also proved that she tried to prove, I don't know if that proves anything, but she tried to prove that it was all sent at one time, at the same spot, in the same exact timestamp, because they were actual documents. And she deleted them, that if he was chatting back and forth, it wouldn't have the same timestamp, which made sense. So, so she said that. But I had a question, because I was watching my brother's show, Uncle Beno, the other day, and a lot of people had the same question. Why are you sharing such credentials with another random supporter, as far as I'm concerned, on the internet? Because she has a lot of supporter with this case, right? Why was she so quick to send a certificate? She did say it was public information and stuff like that, but she's sending it directly from her personal phone number to this random weird lady. And that lady, from the first two sentences that she uttered on the internet, I couldn't listen to everything she had to say, because I could just tell that this is just my personal opinion, that she's some kind of weirdo, but she was, for some reason, she bought into whatever she was saying, and she shared all these documents only to have to delete them and end up in this entanglement with a random on the internet. So could you speak to that? What could possibly make her trust this random person so soon, to the point where she'll be sharing such credentials?
Hello?
I'm here. I'm done.
What I would say concerning that is that beware of people you meet randomly and how much you are willing to disclose. It's called giving out too much information. So beyond that kind of TMI, the truth of the matter is that we won't ever be able to know all these details until the entire matter plays itself out in the law court. And then we will be able to separate facts from fiction. That's my position. But be careful who you tell details of and who you share your details with, because that person you're talking to may be a mole around you. There have been people who call me, sometimes they want to ask questions that are too personal. And I learned from the example of people, I tell them, that is a no-go area. Why should you be asking me details about my family and all kinds of stuff? Even when I know that if you listen closely to my official presentations, you would be able to piece things together about my family.
Right.
But more than what I am willing to give, which is useful, I do not do stuff. I have nothing to hide. I mean, you don't want me to be discussing my adult children with you. You don't want me to be discussing my details beyond what is normal. I mean, and so everybody's got to be careful. That's the point I want to make.
Yes, sir. She said something. She said she didn't want to be because Marriott is saying it sounded like the lady was selling crisis management services from the email you read out. Yes. So could that be a reason? Because she also said, in addition to that, she said she didn't like people looking at her as just another pretty face, that she wanted to be recognized as a technocrat. and as a person who is actually qualified for the job. Could that
Yes,
be
which
a
is-
good reason to be sharing those credentials? Those two
Probably
combined
so.
reasons.
You know, she is a learned attorney at law. It could be a plausible reason
Excuse.
for doing that. It could
Okay.
be, yeah, it could be a reasonable grant. But let me also say that we have said here, when somebody was objectifying our looks and our beauty and our natural endowment, we said no. That in itself is trying to like minimize our genuine accomplishment. So if she tries to provide such an explanation, I think that would suffice in itself.
Okay. I think I have two more questions, sir.
Right. It's
What
okay.
do you think about
I'm
the
just
progress
mindful of
reports?
time. You say what?
The progress reports. What do you think about that? The progress reports. Remember the progress report?
Yes. I mean, I was thinking it would be some thing.
Did you know this? Did you know that this was the kind of progress report in the government?
Well, you know, I've served. You know, I've seen certain things in the short time that I've been on this planet Earth.
So it's not
And
surprising.
people use all kinds of codes, and when you have been around me like you have been, I mean, for like forever, you know, certain things that I would do, and then I begin to tell you that, you know, for example, some people would say, "Oh, we are," I mean, and apologies to my journalist colleagues, but then let me just say this: you have attended a media assignment.
Yeah,
Joe. Yeah, so like conference, I mean, what's it called? Press conference or media briefing, and then
brown envelopes.
No, I'm not even. Yes, but they don't even
Progress
say it that
reports.
way. Somebody is saying we are waiting for communique. You expect them to say, "Oh, you haven't issued a communique, but we are waiting for communique." Did you see the play on something? And then what is communique?
What's communique?
They're waiting for something.
Progress
form
report.
of gratification.
Okay.
Form of progress report in journalism. Some in Lagos will call it keske, and all kinds of stuff. Things happen. Things happen. But you want to dignify yourself as a professional. You do what you want to do and move on. I had an interesting encounter with somebody who was trying to prevent me from, asking the late Governor Akeredolu some questions after the swearing in of the then new Chief Judge of Ondo State, Right Honorable Justice Akeredolu, was saying I said, "What is this accreditation you're talking of?" Oh, that coded reference to waiting for money and all that.
By the way, I know you kind of went over that real quick. That's my auntie, respectfully, but continue.
Yes, it was a public show, and I mean, the person, he later called me to apologize, and then we became good friends. He said he didn't know me, I had no accreditation. I said, at my level, if you do not understand my pedigree professionally in journalism, then shame on you. And then
last question, sir. Last question, sir, because we went way overboard. Last question.
Yes.
So all she said, which I'd seen that one before, what I called it was like, I called it Reno OMOKRI was lame. That's what I called it, because it's okay to toast. It's okay to toast a woman. It's not a crime to toast a woman.
And you must have your courage of convictions in doing that.
So for you to come back and be using it to drag her in the middle of sexual assault is such a shameful thing.
It's such a shameful thing, right?
You know, the number one person.
I don't even know how he became so rich, because if you don't have a simple courage to,
do you know who toast
a woman? Then
Chief, do you know who taught me how to toast a woman? Everybody's going to hear it today. Everybody will hear this one today. You don't know who taught me how to toast a woman. This actually happened on Fadaka Lane in Akure.
Right.
Real life. I think I must have been like 7 or 8 years. So yes, I'll have to put that on you, sir. Sorry. This guy just randomly walked to a woman and just starts vibing. The next thing, they were actually vibing. That's the first time I will see that in my life. I must have been about 7 or 8 years old. I don't know. Maybe 10.
Well,
maybe 10.
Good that
So that credit goes to you. Yeah. So
thank God you got that kind of street wisdom from.
It is okay to toast a woman.
That's right, from a wide uncle like me. If you don't have enough courage to face up to a woman and ask for that kind of simple favor, tell me how you go make it financially in life or in any calling for that matter. You got to be bold. No matter how tall that woman is, no matter how short you are as a man, you must exude it. And you must be able to, and you will do well if you carry that into anything you do.
Yeah. In life. And that does not equal to sexual harassment. Reno OMOKRI, no. You didn't have to inject yourself into this story at all. At all. You see, you know the line you do not cross. If you ask a woman out the first time, she says no. And then you don't begin to say, oh, why are you hanging out with that person you're hanging out with? No, you are crossing a line of harassment right there. Exactly.
This one that they tell us in our culture, in our tradition, in Yoruba land, no, you must allow the woman to have her peace. Because so bad if you do not allow her to have her peace, then you are crossing a line. That is sexual harassment. She says no, respect her wish, and back off.
And I will add this onto it, sir, so we can round up. Right. Especially if you are in the position of power and she's a subordinate. Then you're definitely crossing the line, because
that can easily bring any giant down. That can easily bring any giant down. It could be a humbling and disgracing situation. Learn to back off when people tell you no.
Yep. D says, I have been telling my brother this. It makes me worried that ladies are all over him, so he does not get the chance to toast. He probably doesn't want the ladies all over him. He's gonna get a chance to toast. That's okay. Let him be.
Well, I don't know about that, but understand, it depends on the level of your brother's success. Success is always a gravitas.
That's true.
Success is always a gravitas. Look at the life of musicians. Look at the life of politicians. Look at the life of journalists. Look at the life, and so on and so forth. It's always a gravitas. The man must be able to draw that line. Is this the way? Because you think, oh, you having them so cheap and attracting them to yourselves,
and that can be dangerous.
Worthless. You will be as worthless as any worthless thing could be. In no time. Be careful.
Yeah, that could be dangerous. Gotta be careful. So actually, good point, D. I give you wisdom to pass on to him. Anyway, hit the like button, share, subscribe.
And people too should not be too obsessed. You see people all over, public figures or your husband or your wife who is doing well. Learn to contain your possessiveness and jealousy, because you see people around them like that. It does not mean that your man or your woman is cheap. He or she will fall for anything. That's not true.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, D. Marriott, I appreciate you. Miss Omotayo, I appreciate you for being here and hanging out with us.
We appreciate all of you. Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We'll see you on the next one. God bless.